Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we're going to learn a new first topic in our subject STA 41416, right? So in our first topic, I'm going to introduce to you the introduction to statistics, right? First of all, we need to understand what is the definition of statistics. So the definition of statistics is a study that deal with the process of collecting data, right? Collecting data, organizing data, analyze data, interpret and present the data. So in statistics we have 5 elements. Is how information commonly known as data is being collected, organized, analyzed, interpret and present. So this is a five important element that define statistics. So others modern viewpoint of statistics also is called as a aid for making a scientific decision in facing the uncertainty, a valuable tool in decision making whenever one is uncertain about the state of nature. And statistics is also only a guide to make a decision, right? So basically statistics is about a common sense and good design, right? So how we going to collect the data, how we going to when we already collect the data, how we going to organize the data, from the raw data, how are we going to organize. And organize means that how we going to make the data readable, right? Macam mana nak baca data tu kan. And then once you already organize the data, we begin to analyze the data to make inference of the population, right? So we want to see the relationship between A and B. We want to know whether smoking has a correlation or association with heart disease. So that is the role of statistics. Then once you already done with the analysis, then we start interpret our result, right? Interpret our result for others people can understand what is the meaning of our finding, right? And then the last part of statistics is to make people understand about what we have found in our data. We need to present in graphical form or tabular form, so people can understand. Kalau you tengok dalam Department of Kementerian Kesihatan, right? So dia letak petang-petang, dia akan letak satu figure, right? So people can understand how many cases, COVID cases today, how many people died from COVID, right? That is the point of doing presentation. So in statistics, we have two types of statistics, right? We have the descriptive statistics, right? We have a descriptive statistics, and we also have a inferential statistics. So what is a descriptive statistics? Descriptive statistics is a procedure consists of the technique for summarizing data in the form of graph, chart or table. So, and obtain some numerical summaries such as mean, median, mode, variance and standard deviation to describe the data. So descriptive statistics, the point of descriptive statistics is to describe the data. We want to know what is the average of monthly pocket money. We want to know what is the average of age of children in a playground, right? So we just want to describe the data. For example, let's say we can see if we are studying on the monthly pocket money obtained by 200 students selected from 1,500 students in a college, then we might want to know the average monthly pocket money obtained by the student. So finding the average monthly pocket money is an example of descriptive statistics. We just want to know what is the average, what is the highest monthly pocket money that the student have, what is the lowest monthly pocket money the student have, right? So in contrast, the inferential statistic is to make a draw conclusion about population. So nampak tak dekat sini kita ada dua term dekat sini. We have population, we have sample, right? So if you are taking data, you are collecting data from a sample, you want to infer back to the population. Let's say I have a group of students, let's say in a UITM, right? UITM Tapa. So I have a total student, let's say 5,000. So I take a sample, one sample here, let's say n equal to 300. So I measure the monthly pocket money that the student have every month, right? So from this value, let's say I have, let's say RM 500 per month, the student have monthly pocket money. So from this value, from the sample, I want to infer back to the whole population. So I can conclude that all students in UITM Tapa having a monthly pocket money on average 500 ringgit. So that is the point of inferential statistics. We want to infer back to the population. We are taking the sample, we want to infer back to the population. Let's say kita tengok example dia. Inferential statistics, we use average monthly pocket money for 200 students to make conclusion about the average monthly pocket money of all 1,500 students in the college. So kita guna color lain sikit. Okay. All 1,500 students are the population, while 200 students chosen for the study are the sample. So I baru introduce dekat you dua term yang important in statistics, which is sample and population. And so far we already learned the definition of statistics. Right? This is important. The definition of statistics consists of how information, or commonly known as data, is being collected, organized, analyzed, interpreted, and presented. Right? So combination of all 5 elements is the definition of statistics. So there are 2 types of statistics. First is descriptive statistics, another one is inferential statistics. So descriptive statistics, we just want to describe the data. We want to know what are the nature, history of the data. Inferential statistics, from the sample selected from the population, we want to draw a conclusion to the population, means from the sample, make a conclusion for the whole population, right? So far, are you clear with this one?
Yes, sir.
Are you clear with this one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Clear? I tak dengar
Yes,
cakap
sir.
apa.
Very clear.
Are you clear? Kai punya suara tak dengar.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Clear,
sir.
sir.
Kejap. So next topic is data. So what is data? Data are observation or information that have been recorded or collected. Some set data can be grouped as numeric observation, and another one is non-numeric observation. So we have 2 types of data. First is numeric data, another one is non-numeric data. Right. So kita tengok sikit dekat sini, kat slide I. So what is data? I tak tulis. Alright. Kalau you nampak dekat sini, right? Data is the value that we collected. Let's say this is a age, right? So age 81, 69, 79, 60, 65. All of these are called as data. And the value, the definition of all the data ni, maksudnya di sini age ni kita panggil variable, right? There are two terms, another two terms that I introduced to you, data and variable. Variable means that something that we are interested to study. Let's say we want to study the height of student. So height is variable. The value, let's say of height, let's say 172 centimeter, 168 centimeter, right? That one is called as data. Boleh faham? The difference between data and variable. So in data, we have a numeric data and non-numeric data. Numeric data is something that we can measure or we can count. Can measure or can count. Right. So measure means, let's say you want to know the height of the student. You need to use a measurement tool, a ruler, to measure the height of the student. So something that you can measure is a numeric data. Numeric data, you can give any numbers lah, from 0 to infinity. From negative infinity to negative infinity. So maksudnya they can take any value, from negative infinity to infinity. Right? So count data, another type of numeric data, we have a count data. Count data means that something we cannot measure, but we can count. For example, number of students, number of children, number of car. So we cannot measure number of car, but we can count number of car. How many car have gone through the highway today? Right? From 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Berapa banyak kereta dah lalu, kita boleh kira. Number of children, berapa banyak children do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So it lies under numeric data. Right? So in numerical data, we have two measurement, two types. With first is data that can be measured, another one is data can be count. Non-numeric data means that data that cannot be measured, right? Cannot measure, but actually we can count, but we cannot measure. For example, gender, male and female, right? Type of cars, local car, foreign car. Lagi kita ada apa lagi? Type of colors, right? Colors, yellow, green, red. Itu semua yang kita tak boleh nak measure, and kita boleh describe saja. We can only describe the characteristics, such as kita bagi example. Kalau kita tengok dekat sini, example is gender, marital status, occupation, academic qualification. This is all of the example of qualitative non-numerical data. Non-numerical data, something yang kita tak boleh measure, but we can describe it. Right? Dia tak akan bagi dekat kita satu value. Right? So another important point that you need to understand, non-numerical data and non-numerical data, this one is also known as quantitative data. This is qualitative data. So we have two types of data, numeric, non-numeric. Numerical data also known as a quantitative data. Non-numeric data is known as qualitative data. Right. So under quantitative data, right, as I said here, right, we have numerical data that can be measured and numerical data that can be counted. So this one classified as a continuous quantitative data. And this one, the data that numerical data that can be counted is called as a discrete quantitative data. Right. So what is the difference between continuous and discrete? Continuous data, continuous quantitative data is a numerical data. Any value within this range are possible. Maksudnya we can have 1.95, 1.99, 2.05 until infinity lah. Any value within this range are possible. But for discrete quantitative data, this is a count data, right? So let's say kita ada number of children. Number of children from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So ini adalah absolute value yang kita, ataupun whole number yang ada dalam discrete quantitative. Between 0 and 1 are not possible. Maksudnya tak ada value between 0 and 1. Boleh faham? This is a very simple and important definition that you need to understand. Right. Now, let's look at basic statistical term. Basic statistical term that we need to understand. We have several basic statistical term. Let's say, okay, I kecilkan sikit. Saya pergi ke slide ni lah. Nampak sikit. Okay. Let's go back, go to basic statistical term. So the first term that we need to understand is population. Population, as I mentioned just now, population means that a complete group consists of individual, object, item or measurement to be taken for the purpose of study. Right? The size of population may be small or large depending on the objective of the study. Right. Kita continue lah. A population is a group consists of individual, object, item or measurement to be taken for the purpose of the study. It means that population, let's say we want to study the knowledge of dengue fever prevention at Perak Tengah district. You faham? I want to study a knowledge of resident knowledge on dengue fever prevention at Perak Tengah resident. So Perak Tengah resident tu, Perak Tengah district tu is called as population. The whole member in the population, let's say the whole resident in the district, we call as population lah. Boleh ya. Okay, macam tadi saya kata, population is a complete group consists of individual, object, item or measurement to be taken for the purpose of the study or survey. Means that, let's say we want to study about knowledge, attitude and practice on dengue fever prevention at Perak Tengah district. So, all resident at Perak Tengah district is called as population. For example, let's say we want to study monthly pocket money of the student at UiTM Tapah. All student at UiTM Tapah is called as population. So you tengok example, all lecturers in UiTM Cawangan Melaka, all bachelor student in UiTM, all houses in Taman Demensi, all trees in the park, age of all student in the class. So the keyword kat sini you nampak tak? Apa keyword dia? All. Right? Semua. So, semua orang yang ada dalam tempat yang kita nak study tu dikatakan sebagai population, right? So sample is a portion taken from the population, right? So sample is a portion taken from a population for the purpose of the study, right? Sample means that a portion that we take from a population. So it's a subset of population. Let's say kita ada satu lori buah limau. Let's say Raya Cina sudah habis kan. Let's say nak main raya, Raya Aidilfitri. So dalam lori ni kita ada buah kurma. Right, let's say ada buah kurma. This is a lorry, right? Okay, the whole pack buah kurma ni, dates dalam lorry ni dipanggil population, right? So sample means that kita ambil satu pack daripada lori ataupun dua pack daripada lori ni dipanggil sample. So we take some portion out of population. So sample can be either randomly or non-randomly from the population. So for example, let's say kita nampak dekat sini, all lecturers in UiTM Cawangan Melaka. So we take 60 lecturers in UiTM Cawangan Melaka. 80 bachelor student in UiTM Melaka. Double story terrace houses in Taman Dimensi. Hibiscus tree in the park and so on lah. So this is a definition for sample. Right, tadi I dah ulang benda yang sama daripada awal tadi. I cakap population, sample. Population it consists of all member in a group. Sample means we take some portion out of population. Right? So another statistical term that we need to understand is a sampling unit. So sampling unit that is a unit of sample that has been selected from a population randomly or non-randomly. So kita nampak, let's say I ada the whole population. Let's say student in UiTM Tapah. Student in UiTM Tapah, let's say I have 5,000 student from 1 until 5,000, right? So let's say I select student number 201, right? So 201 ni student yang I select 201 masuk dalam sample. So this is called as sampling unit, right? A unit of sample. Maksudnya 201 sample, a student number 5,000. This is what we call as a sampling unit. Boleh faham? So now let's look at another term which is a sampling frame. Sampling frame is all member in the population. It is prepared so that the sample can be selected randomly from the population. Means that dia kata dekat sini, a list of all member. A list of all member in the population. Maksudnya sama juga konsep dengan ini. Let's say, I buka tepi sikit. Right. So let's say we want to take our population list, let's say UiTM Tapah. So UiTM Tapah, we have number of student 5,000. Right. So let's say we want to select a sample, right? This is a sample. Let's say n equal to 200 student out of 5,000 student. So sampling frame means that is a process, is a part of the process of selecting the sample. So sampling frame, we need to is a list of all member in the population. So list member number 1 consists of their name, phone number, email, lagi apa, address. Let's say kalau student lagi kita ada apa lagi, part, program and so on lah. So all member, a list of all member in the population consists of their detail, right? Their detail maksudnya until 5,000 lah. So detail dia macam name, phone number, email address, lagi apa, address, semester, program and so on, right? So what is the purpose of having all this information? So bila kita nak select the sample, 200 sample randomly, right? Let's say we are using a simple random sampling. So we might need to contact the student untuk berhubung dengan student untuk tanya soalan. Let's say we want to distribute a questionnaire. Kita akan cari student number, let's say student number 200. So kita kena tahu dia punya nama dia punya phone number, email address and so on. So kita boleh contact the student. So that is the purpose of the sampling frame. So then 200 sampling unit number 200 ni akan masuk dalam sample. Right, boleh So this is a term that we need to understand. So tengok dekat sini example. Example of sampling frame is a list of student names in a class. List of college name in UiTM campus Alor Gajah. List of company registered at KLSE. List of name and address subscribe to the telephone directory and so on lah. So list of name. So it's a list of all member in the population. And not necessary name lah. Dia mesti ada all the related information that yang kita boleh contact balik the sampling unit yang kita nak select tu. Right. So statistical term yang satu lagi is a random sample. So tadi nampak tak? I dengar tak? I dah cakap tadi dalam sampling frame. So kita dah select, kita dah list down all the member in the population. So we can use the sampling frame to select sampling unit randomly. So random sampling or random sample is consider all member in the population has equal chance or probability to be selected as a sampling unit. Apa maksud dia dekat sini? Let's say you have a sampling frame. Let's say I letak kecil punya sampling frame. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until 10. Contoh. So all member in the population, let's say this is a population, right? Sampling frame. All member of the in the population have equal chance to be selected. Maksudnya the first sample unit ada 1/10 percentage ataupun probability. 1/10, 1/10, 1/10. This one so 1/10. This is the same chance of being selected. Right, for example dekat sini benda yang sama dah explain. So census is a survey that takes all member in a defined population. Right, instead of we are taking a sample maksudnya tadi I ulang balik, from a population we take a sample, right? Sample. This is a population. So instead of we are taking a portion from population, census means that we take all member. Let's say we have 5,000 student, we take all 5,000 student as our part of data collection. Kita tak ambil sampel, kita ambil semua sekali member dalam population. Right? So the best example of census is population census lah. Just last year ada population census kan. So they take all member in Malaysia. Right? So census, this is the thing that you need to take note, right? In normal case, census is normally taken if the population to be studied is small. Kalau we have a small size of population, let's say student in UiTM Tapa, we have only 5,000, so it's considered as small, right? Compared to the population or resident in Perak Tengah District, we have 100,000 or 200,000 resident. So 5,000 ni semua kita boleh ambil census. Kita boleh ambil semua lah. So another term is a sample survey. Sample survey is take only portion of the population. It's a same definition, same concept as sample and population. Right? So survey is best one when the population size is large or very large. So when we have a large population, Let's say for example, I macam example yang tadi I cakap, I want to do a study on knowledge, attitude and practice on dengue fever prevention at Perak Tengah District. So my population is resident at Perak Tengah District. Let's say I define all resident ada berapa? Let's say 200,000 resident. So 200,000 resident maybe not possible to take all, because some of the residents might be died or migrated to others district, right? So the best method to do is we take a sample, right? Sample survey. Now, another term is a pilot survey. Pilot survey is not a study about aircraft. Please remember, it's not a study about aircraft. It's just a survey that carry out before the actual survey. It's a study or a survey carry out before the actual survey, right? So before kita do the actual survey, right, for our target population, let's say we design a questionnaire. So you design a new questionnaire or you adapt this questionnaire pun sama juga. You need to test whether the questionnaire is reliable and valid. Reliable and valid for your targeted population. Sama juga dengan manufacture. When you manufacture a new goods, let's say you manufacture a thermometer contoh, right? So you need to test whether your thermometer is correctly or accurate, or what is the sensitivity, what is the accuracy, what is the error rate. Sini nak tahu benda-benda tu. Kalau semua tu dah okay, baru you start mass production. Contoh sama juga dengan vaksin. So before they release the vaccine, right? So they need to test a several phase, dalam animal phase, human phase, and then the clinical trial phase, and then baru dia dapat dia punya sensitivity good, accuracy is very good, then baru dia boleh release to public. So that is the definition of pilot survey or pilot study, right? So the purpose of conducting pilot survey is to identify any problem that may arise during the actual survey, and also to pretest the relevancy of the questionnaire, right? So then the questionnaire can be improved for the use of actual study. So this is the purpose of pilot survey. Alright, so now let's look at another term. I hope this one is the last. Okay, second last. Alright, so we have another term we call as a statistic. Statistic without S. So kalau kita tengok the term here and the term that we discussed earlier, the term that we discussed earlier is statistics with S. Statistics means that is the field that that how information is being collected, organized, analyzed, interpreted, and presented. Statistic is a numerical summary calculated from sample. It's a numerical summary calculated from sample. For example, let's say tadi kita collect data, let's say from the population dekat sini, kita ada number of student in UiTM Tapa, we have 5,000. So we select a sample, let's say we select two sample. Dalam satu sample ni we have n equal to 200, n equal to 200. This is a sample number 1, sample number 2. So we measure the let's say monthly pocket money lah. Monthly pocket money, the amount of money spent per month. Let's say student, kita dapat on average we have, let's say, RM 500. Another sample says that, this is sample number 2, this is sample number 1, says that RM 300. Right. So this value we call as statistic. because we got the value from the sample. Boleh faham? Any value get from the sample we call as statistic. Mean, mode, median, variance, standard deviation, row, and so on. So let's say we calculate the whole population. Kita ambil semua member dalam population ni. Kita cari mean of monthly pocket money spent ataupun amount of money spent per month. So we got mean equal to RM 450 contoh. So this is what we call as parameter. Parameter means that the summarized numerical value calculated from population. So any value from the population we call as parameter. Boleh faham? And as you can see, the symbol that I use here is different. This is the mean of sample number 1. This is the mean of sample number 2. This is the mean of the population. Mean for sample is X bar. Mean for population is mu. Right, this is a basic concept. I hope you understand the concept. Okay. So if you can see the difference of symbol used for parameter and sample statistic. This is a parameter and this is statistic without S. So when you want to write your report nanti, please be careful the term that you use statistic and statistics. Right. So number of cases for parameter is capital N. That's why you nampak kat sini I tulis capital N is for population, small letter n is for sample. Right. The mean is mu for parameter, population. X bar is for statistic. Proportion is pi. Pi is for parameter. Capital P is for sample. Variance sigma squared for parameter, S squared is for sample. Correlation, rho for parameter, R for sample. Regression, if you are using a whole population, we use as capital beta. And this one, just a symbol, no need to remember. Right. So what you need to do is just try to remember the simple term, like the basic term such as mu, sigma, X bar and S. Later on kita tengok rho and R. At the end of the syllabus, kita akan tengok beta and B. Right. So, now, another term in statistics, kita dah tengok tadi, I dah introduce dekat you, what is a variable, what is data. So again, I am trying to emphasize to you, variable is the measure characteristic of interest. Right, measure characteristic of interest. While the variable, the data is the value or measurement or observation collected for the variable. Variable means that let's say you are interested to study knowledge, attitude and practice. Knowledge is the variable. The value inside the knowledge. Let's say knowledge we have 70 per 100, 90 per 100. So the value that obtained is called as data. The variable is the thing that we are interested to study. Let's say height, weight, age, marital status, gender. That one is called as variable. The value inside the variable is called as data. Okay? I hope you understand. So now, kita tengok variable. As I introduced to you earlier, we know that data, we have two types of data. Right? So quantitative data and qualitative data. So if you look at this one, Data and variable are interchangeable. There is a very strong relationship. So if you have variable, you should have data. If you have data, if you have data, you should have variable. If you have variable, it doesn't mean you have data lah. So variable dengan data ni mesti selalu ada. Dia berkait rapat. So that's why normally data and variable are interchangeable lah. So dia boleh jadi variable juga. Benda yang sama. Kalau data tu adalah quantitative, variable also quantitative. Data itu adalah qualitative, variable also a qualitative. It cannot be different. Boleh faham? So, dalam quantitative, we have two type of quantitative. So, first is continuous quantitative. Another one is discrete quantitative. Qualitative variable is also called as a categorical variable. Means that the variable that can be classed, right? We cannot measure, but we can describe whether this group is male, this group is female, this is A group, this is B group, this is group we receive Pfizer punya vaksin, this group will receive a Sinovac vaccine, right? So group categorical data or is a qualitative data. The data that we cannot measure, but we can only describe the data. So, quantitative data or quantitative variable. So, discrete quantitative variable is those variable obtained by counting, right? Exactly such as number of cars sold, number of student enrolled, number of student in the class, number of children, and so on. Continuous variable is obtained by use of measurement such as distance, length of bridge, height of building, right? Something that you can measure using instrument tool. Okay. So kalau kita tengok dekat sini, ada additional notes. Apa additional notes dekat sini? Identification card number. It's a numerical data, right? It's a numerical data, but it can also classify as a discrete or continuous. Tapi kalau kita tengok identification card number is a unique number. So it's a personal identification lah. So this one we cannot call as a quantitative data. It lies under qualitative data. Right. So it's because this is a unique. Dia tak boleh ada frekuensi yang banyak. Right. And then car registration number also a unique. So it lies under qualitative data or variable. ATM PIN number also lies under qualitative data. This is something that unique that cannot be replicated, right? Kita akan keluarkan daripada quantitative variable. Right? Okay, now quick check. A research was conducted to study amount of money spent on textbook by student in UiTM Perak. 5 faculty are randomly selected from a total 8 faculties, and every student from the selected faculty was studied. So what is the variable of interest? Can you type in chat room? What is the variable of interest? Lagi? Takkan seorang saja? Mana lagi? Apa yang kita nak kaji dekat sini? Apa yang dia nak tahu? As I said before, variable of interest means that a variable is something that we are interested to study. So what are we trying to study here? We want to study the amount of money spent. So that is a variable. What type of variable? Amount of money. What are the What do you think the type of data yang boleh masuk dalam tu? Quantitative, right? So what type of quantitative? Continuous quantitative or discrete quantitative? It should be continuous quantitative lah. Right. Okay. Kita dah sampai kat bawah ni. Alright. Okay. Now, I will give you 5 minutes to read this one. This example number 1.1 and example number 1.2, right? And we try to answer, and then baru kita akan rehat 5 minit lah. So dekat sini dia kata, a researcher wants to study on the level of computer literacy among the residents in the city. He then select only 200 residents from the telephone directory. So what is the population of interest? Remember the definition of population, all member in the selected area, all member dekat mana yang kita nak study tu. So what is the population of interest? Can you speak up?
All resident in a city.
Sorry?
All resident in a city.
All resident in the city. Right? Dia mesti ada magic word. Tadi I sebut magic word kan? All resident in a city.
In a city.
Right. So what is the sample of the study?
Residents.
200 resident lah. Alright, 200 resident. Very good. So what is the sampling frame used? So try to remember what is the definition of sampling frame. Definition of sampling frame is a list of all member in the population consists of their information, kan? So apa sampling frame kat sini?
Telephone directory.
No. You need to state the correct word.
List.
A list of all
Of all
resident in the city consists of their names. In telephone directory ada apa dalam tu? Names, address and phone number. Right? So what is the variable of interest? Dia nak kaji apa ni?
The level of computer literacy.
Level of computer literacy. That is the variable of interest. So level of computer literacy, ni dah answer dah bagi dekat sini kan, boleh nampak je. Right, level of computer literacy, kita nak tanya macam mana? Whether you are good or not good. Right, contoh dia bagi dalam bentuk kategori lah. Poor, very poor, good, very good. Contoh. So that one is a qualitative data. Right? Okay. Okay. Oh, tak aci lagi nampak. Okay. Sekejap. Right. Kita dah tengok tadi variable and data. So let's move to measurement scale. So measurement scale. Look at this one. So as you know, variable or data, we have two type of variable and data, right? So we have a quantitative data and qualitative data, right? Under quantitative data, we have two type of quantitative data, which is a discrete and continuous data. Right, this is what we call as a qualitative, we call as a categorical data lah. So under this level of data, type of data or type of variable, we have a scale of measurement. The scale of measurement, under quantitative data, we have ratio, interval, and then we have ordinal for qualitative data, and nominal. So the range, the level of information, this is the lowest level of information, this is the highest level of measurement. So dia ke sini lah, right? So under qualitative data, we have two type of level of measurement, so which is a nominal or ordinal. Under quantitative data, we have two type of level of measurement, which is interval and ratio, right? So we already know that qualitative data, nominal or ordinal, right? Qualitative data is a categorical data. So any value dekat sini, or nominal or ordinal, should be categorical data, right? So ni benda yang sama I draw, cuma terbalik sekejap, right? Less information, more information. So the most highest information dekat ratio, the lowest information dekat nominal. So nominal scale classify characteristic variable into categories, right? It's a categorical data because it lies under qualitative data. For example, gender, race, ataupun ethnicity, color, blood group, right? Ataupun kita ada dichotomous variable, high and low blood pressure, life or death, right? Data is mutually exclusive and cannot be ranked. It cannot be in order. For example, let's say gender, we have male and female. You cannot say male first, second is female. It can be either female first or male. It cannot be in order. It cannot be in rank. Ethnicity, we have Malay, Chinese, Indian, Siamese, right? So we cannot say Malay first, Chinese, and followed by Indian, right? You cannot say either Chinese, Indian, Malay. It cannot be in order. It cannot be ranked. So if you have a categorical variable and that categorical variable cannot be ranked, cannot be in order, so it lies under nominal scale, right? So for categorical variable that can be ordered or can be ranked, it is ordinal scale. So ordinal scale classify data into categories that can be ranked, right? Categories that can be ranked or ordered categories. So what are these example? Example is, for example, kita ada president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. The first level is president, followed by vice president, treasurer, secretary, and treasurer. Right. So dia mesti ikut order ataupun low, middle, high income. Right. Atau kita ada strongly agree, natural disagree, strongly disagree. So that one must be in order, can be ranked. But you need to remember this is a categorical variable. It's a mutually exclusive. It cannot be, it don't have any intersection, right? So ordinal scale. So the difference between ordinal and nominal cannot be ranked. Ordinal can be ranked or must be in order. Right? That is the difference between ordinal and nominal. Both are categorical variable, lies under qualitative variable. Right? So for interval scale and ratio scale, so both scales lies under quantitative variable. Quantitative variable, if you can recall, quantitative variable we have a continuous quantitative and a discrete quantitative. Continuous quantitative means that something that can be measured. Any value within that range are possible. Discrete variable or discrete quantitative variable is a data that we cannot measure but we can count. Number of children, number of car, and so on. Right? Now, we look at interval. Both value, kita tengok boleh dua-dua scale ni adalah quantitative. It's a numerical data. Right? Dua-dua adalah numerical data. Kalau kita tengok dekat atas ni, nominal and ordinal, dua-dua ni adalah qualitative. Dua-dua adalah categorical data. But we know the difference, right? Now, remember this one first. Dua-dua ni, these two lies under numerical data. It's a quantitative data, right? Can be measured, right? But the difference between ordinal and interval and ratio is interval is the distance between the value are equal, able to add or able to subtract. But the 0 point is arbitrary, means that it's not a true zero. It's not a true zero. Apa maksud not a true zero? For example, temperature. We have in Celsius, right? 100 Celsius means that takat apa dia orang kata? Boiling punya tempat kan? Kalau 0 Celsius means that sejuk kan? Beku, right? So means that dekat sini 0 is not a true zero. Maksudnya 0 tu tak memberi, bukan maksudnya tak ada temperature. Doesn't mean it's no temperature. Means that takat beku. Maksudnya 0 tu maksudnya benda lain lah. Dia bukan kosong tak ada duit. Let's say you have no money. Means that you have no money. Zero ringgit in your pocket. Means that you have no money, right? So kalau 0 dekat sini, 0 Celsius, bukan bermaksud 0 tu tak ada suhu. Suhu tu ada, tapi bermaksud takat beku. Kan? So this at this part 0 is not the true zero. Contoh date. You tak ada 0 date. Right? You ada day 1, day 2, day 3, day 0 tak ada kan? So that one also lies under interval scale. For example, sea level, years, dollar, dates, temperature. Right? So, kalau kita tengok dekat ratio, very similar to interval variable, right? It's a category continuous variable, right? Ni okay. Ni bukan example dia, I tercopy and paste, right? So, dalam ratio, zero value is a true zero, not arbitrary. It's a true zero. Means that if you say that you have 0 marks, means your marks is 0. If you have 0 money, means you have no money, right? It's a true zero. Boleh faham? So that is the difference between interval and ratio. Right. Now we move to the source of data. Source of data. So kita akan stop dekat mana? Measurement scale dah cover. Okay, sampling and source of data is our last topic lah to be covered today. Next week kita akan masuk sampling. Right. So, source of data can be gathered either primarily or secondary. So, primary data is the first-hand data which gathered by researcher himself or herself using the method of data collection, such as personal interviews, telephone interviews, questionnaire, or observation. So, this is a primary data. Means that you are the first person to have the data. Means you go to the lab, right, and you measure something and you get the data. So that means that you are the first person to get the data. Secondary data means that it's a second-hand data. Means that somebody else already collect the data and publish somewhere else. Contoh, for example, let's say a student CGPA. Right, student CGPA. So is the data of CGPA student ni dah ada dalam database UiTM HA. So it's already in the database. Kalau you want to access the data, you are the second person to get the data, right? Ataupun data you already publish at magazine. So you nampak data tu dah ada dekat magazine. Macam petang-petang selalu you akan nampak data COVID-19. So that is what we call as a secondary data. You are not the first person know the data. You are the second person, right? The first person is yang collect the data tu lah. Okay. So secondary data is a second-hand data, means that it's already collected or recorded or published by someone in other than the person who collected. Right? Can be found in magazine, bulletins, journal, company annual report, newspaper, books, and so on. Right? So that is source of data. So kita kena ingat dekat sini, we have two type of source of data, primary and secondary. Okay. So now, let's look at the advantage and disadvantage of primary and secondary. Advantage of primary data are more accurate. Right, data gathered are more accurate. So in many cases, data cannot be available from other sources, so there is no alternative but to gather them primary. And no reproduction error. Right? Kalau secondary data ni ada reproduction error, maybe in printing, maybe someone else try to copy the data and tak tulis data tu betul-betul. That is a reproduction error. Primary source will explain how the fact were gathered. So this is the very most important part. So we understand the process of how we collect the data. Where is the flaw? Where is the kat mana kita nak tempat yang salah kita ambil, kita boleh rectify balik. But for secondary data, we cannot identify what is the method of the data collection, whether they collect the data correctly or not correctly, ataupun dia duduk bawah pokok saja dia tulis data tu, right? It requires less time. For secondary data, senang dapat, less time, effort, money because it's already available. Right? Data help to decide for what further research need to be done. So this is the advantage lah. From secondary data, we can know what is the direction of the next step. Right? So the disadvantage of primary data, it require more time and effort to collect the data. Right? We need to spend some time, we need to invest some money to collect the data. So it is very expensive to collect lah. So secondary data disadvantage leads to reproduction error, right? Secondary data are very difficult to be obtained. Some of the secondary data are confidential, right? Cannot be get. So if you want to get the secondary data, you need to pay sometimes lah. So not all secondary data is readily available and inexpensive lah. So accuracy of data sometimes is questionable. So we don't know what is the accuracy of data collected, whether the data is collected correctly or not correctly, right? So that is a disadvantage. So for scale of measurement, we already discussed before. So now, let's look at this one before we end our session. Right. Classify the following response by type of data: qualitative, discrete quantitative, or continuous quantitative. And the type of measurement scale, whether nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio. So type of house purchase. So whether type of house purchase, whether a double story terrace, a single story terrace, bungalow. So this one what type of data?
Qualitative.
Qualitative. So what type of qualitative? Measurement scale dia apa?
Nominal.
Nominal. It cannot be ranked, right? And build up area 3,231 square feet. So this is So dia bagi number dekat sini kan. So what is we already know that is a quantitative, right? Whether discrete quantitative or continuous quantitative.
Discrete.
Yeah. So
Continuous.
build up area, kalau beli rumah dia macam standard size lah. Dia ada square feet, dia ada banyak-banyak standard. So kita we can classify it as a discrete quantitative, right? So is a nominal, interval or ratio?
Interval.
Is a ratio, right? So down payment paid for house 20,000 down payment. Selalunya down payment kita akan letak fix amount lah. Let's say 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. Jarang-jarang lah kita dengar 20,000 RM9.20. Right. Selalu bila kita tanya soalan 20,000, kita letak down payment kereta 10,000. Contoh rumah 100,000. So this one is apa?
Discrete quantitative.
Discrete quantitative. Under interval or ratio? It can be? Ratio lah. Ratio lah. Right. Monthly payment paid for the house. Ini sama dengan atas ni. Ini sama dengan atas. So let's say annual interest rate charge 4.5%. So this is a continuous quantitative. Right. Continuous quantitative, interval or ratio? It's a ratio. Ratio. Ratio sebab kalau kosong interest means kosong lah. Tak ada interest. Right. Zero value is a true zero. Right. So marital status, married, single, divorce.
Qualitative.
It's a qualitative under? Nominal. Occupation, lecturers. For example, lecturers, lagi apa? Police, nurse. So this is the same as this one lah. Qualitative, nominal. Monthly salary?
Discrete quantitative.
We can say as a discrete quantitative jugalah. Right. Term of payment. Term of payment, okay. Term of payment is a quantitative. What is type of quantitative? Discrete or continuous?
Discrete.
So then it lies under interval or ratio?
Ratio.
No, it's interval. Because term of payment 0 years memang tak wujud. Mesti ada years dekat situ, right? Date of purchase sama juga, interval. Temperature also interval. Army rank, colonel, major, captain, lieutenant. So this is a qualitative ordinal. Salary group also ordinal, right? Okay, I think that's all for today. Alright, Assalamualaikum.